learn scale shapes and modes when you look at many songs and they seem to be using chromatic scales, one note after the other. So many beginners can look at songs and they can see where the scale shape fits in with what they're playing, and then suddenly it seems to descend into chaos. Remember, as a teenager, buying the Surfing with the Alien by Joe Satriani guitar tab book, and you just seem to be using every single note on the fretboard, and you thought, what is the purpose of learning all these scale shapes where you can seem to do whatever you want? Well, we do have to learn scale shapes and modes, but here's a few examples of where things can get a little bit confusing. The beginning example there from One Vision, A to D, then he ascends up, open A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. So that doesn't seem to fit in any kind of scale, it's just one note after the other. So lots of different examples of that in music. You think of Whiskey in the Jar, which is in A minor. We see the notes. So obvious where them notes fit in in the A minor scale. Even though that note's not in the scale, it's a passing note. We then have the, again you can see where that fits in. Then all of a sudden it descends chromatically, which seems to make a nonsense of the whole scale shape. We have other examples. If you think of Death on Two Legs, if you look at the D string, if you just isolated that on its own, so them notes, one after the other. So that's where things can get a little bit confusing. So we're going to look at the scale shapes and kind of hopefully simplify things down. So if we look at this A minor scale, and we're just looking at it on the E, the A and the D string, or the E, the A, the D strings, to make things easier to follow. So we've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, back to A. Which is fairly straightforward, many people have learned that. If we look at Phrygian in this example, instead of having a B, has a B flat in it. So we have this. So the difference between the minor scale, or Aeolian, and Phrygian is we have a B flat instead of a B. But if you link that together and mix the two, you would have one note after the other. If we went to Dorian, and Dorian would be, and we have that note, which is the F sharp. So if we mix them together, we would have so you see a picture building up here. If we had the harmonic minor, which has a raised seventh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we can add that note into the mix. If we look at the blues scale, we'd add that note into the mix. Now if we mix it all together, if I'm going too quickly here, just rewind the video a little bit to take it all in. What we end up with is this. Like that. You could take things a step further if you listen to early blues playing. They go from the minor third to the major third. So you have that note in. So we could add that note into the mix. actual C sharp. So we could have which is basically every single note, all in A minor. So why do we need to know scale shapes and modes if it's a case of we can use anything we want? It's a case of knowing what the job of each note does. So we've got A minor. We know if we look at Phrygian that we've got this B flat. But theoretically, just knowing that you have it isn't really good enough. You need to know what it sounds like. So if you use that B flat in context of the A minor, we've got a very dark Phrygian sound which you hear with a lot of Metallica songs. So the fact that you know that what that note's going to sound like before you hit it. In the case of the Dorian, you've got that note there, or you've got it there. So if you're going, that's got a very unique kind of sound. So you know what that's going to sound like before you hit it. The harmonic minor with its raised seventh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So again, you know that that note has got a very harmonic minor sound to it, which again you hear Brian May sometimes uses the harmonic minor note in things, very especially early Queen stuff, Ritchie Blackmore, Yngwie Malmsteen, and you can hear that ring out. The blues scale, so you got that note, which you also find here. It's got a very bluesy sound, hence the blues scale. Note the blue note, that note that we pointed out, you know that that's going to sound bluesy when used with the minor third. There's me harmonic minor note. And I know that that's going to sound like that. So I hope that makes sense of why to learn the different modes and scales and knowing what they sound like. So when you're looking at something like a Joe Satriani track where it appears to be just playing any note, he knows exactly what note sounds like with what. It isn't just a simple case of he's using every single note on the fretboard. It's kind of the fretboard lights up to you to know exactly what the note's going to sound like before you hit it. For songwriting purposes, you're able, in the case of if you wanted to write a Metallica type riff, if you know what Phrygian is, that's off the top of my head. A, I know that that note's going to give us that sound. If I wanted to make it suddenly sound bluesy, if I wanted a harmonic minor, an Eastern sound, and then add a bluesy sound to it, and it means that I know exactly what each note will sound like. So it's a question that I'm often asked about, and you can take it as far or as far as you want. So try that point, like if I've just taken a selected amount of notes on 3 strings from one shape, but try it with the other shapes that you know and see what you come up with, and you should have a better understanding of the fretboard and how to play guitar. So as always, thank you for watching.